It's Rocky Marks, and it's RoadHogs, brought to you by Hot Metal Harley-Davidson, Ryder Insurance, and attorney Edgar Snyder Associates. Edgar's on the phone this morning, and I have to ask, I mean, your name's all over the place, billboards, TV. Does it get old seeing your name and hearing your name as part of shows and sponsorships and TV shows?
I think that I'm used to it by now. It's been, in fact, this is, Rocky, this is our 30th year of having this law firm. And it's been around a long time, and I'm used to the name being out there. In fact, it was very interesting today. I was riding to, when I went out to Fox Chapel High School, and I see these billboards all over, and I see my name all over.
Right.
And I was riding by, and one of the persons, I had this happen last week. I was sitting at a light, and one of my billboards was up there, and I see the guy motioning to me in the car. And I rolled down my window. He says, "Isn't that you?" Up on the billboard. And I said, "My gosh, it's really me." But it's a lot of fun. It really is. I enjoy it.
Well, you had a tour of high schools this week, and I saw on Facebook you had this one kid who wanted to be a game show host, and he was practicing the point with you. How did the week go with all the high schools that you went out and visited?
It's really gone. It's really gone exceedingly well. It's been very interesting, and I wouldn't want to be having to do this every day. It was a lot of this stuff was very emotional. It involved me getting up very early in the morning to go out and do these things. But the kids at the high schools were terrific. They've been very receptive.
Very good. It's good to see you out there in the community. And one of the things that Mike and I talked about last week is about how you're very philanthropic and you believe in giving back because the community's been very, very good to you. So let's go on and talk about motorcycles right now, because that's what we do on Saturday mornings on DVE. And one of the things I wanted to ask you was, how many injured motorcyclists have you helped along the way? Do you have any idea?
I would say to you that without exaggeration, upwards of 1,000.
Really? Wow.
Upwards of over the last 30 years.
Okay.
Knowing how many cases we get on an average of a year, and I'm talking about cases that we accept. We talk to dozens of more people that are involved in accidents that either we can't help them, or it's not the type of case that would be worth them having a lawyer at this point. But cases just that we've handled, I'm going to put the number and say to you, 1,000. If somebody had gone through my list and said to me, "How many motorcyclists have you represented in your law firm over the last 30 years?" I wouldn't be surprised to say 1,000. And if it's not, it's certainly between 500 and 1,000. I just never added them up, but there have been that many.
When you're helping these motorcyclists out that are injured, what are you seeing as far as common injuries? What's something that you can almost pinpoint in every single accident, or is there nothing that's
Rocky?
similar?
Rocky, one of the things we tell people, and we go out and we say this all the time: there are no boo-boos in motorcycle accidents. Okay, I would say to you, a very, very common injury is badly fractured legs. And obviously, from all of the motorcycling you've done and all of the work that you're involved in, that when you get involved in this type of an accident, if it involves any type of collision, it's involving the leg. And we've had people, unfortunately, lose legs. We've had people that have had fractures of almost every bone in their leg. It's very, very common to see that type of an injury. Surprisingly enough, one of the major injuries, and I was really worried about this at the time when we didn't have the helmet law any longer. I was worried that we were going to see a lot more head injuries. For whatever the reason, thank God we don't.
Oh,
okay? So it's really not the most common type of injury, but when the bike goes down, when you're laying it down, or when you're getting hit, or you're just going out of control, you're going to see badly injured legs.
Wow. I never really considered the legs to be a source of major injury. All right, Attorney Edgar Snyder from Edgar Snyder Associates on the phone. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk to him some more as we continue with RoadHogs, brought to you by Hot Metal Harley-Davidson, Ryder Insurance, and Attorney Edgar Snyder Associates. It's RoadHogs, brought to you by Hot Metal Harley-Davidson, Ryder Insurance, and Attorney Edgar Snyder Associates, who is on the phone, by the way. And I'm kind of curious. We were talking about the most common injury being a leg injury. How do you help these people?
Well, when you say how can we help these people, the prejudice, Rocky, that I have been fighting in this law firm in behalf of motorcyclists over the years, I'm happy to say that it really has gotten much less. But how do we help people? There's a perception out there from people who don't drive motorcycles that a motorcyclist is at fault when there is an accident. Now, obviously, it's ridiculous when you think of it that just because you were on a motorcycle. But there is a built-in prejudice that still exists. And in fact, when lawyers in this office pick juries, it's not an uncommon question to ask somebody, do you have any bias or prejudice against the person who's injured on a motorcycle? It happens more often than you think. I think what we do for people that are injured in these types of cases is that we know how to prepare them and know how to deal with this, because the person may not have any responsibility whatsoever, but they're not prepared that they're going to meet this type of resistance, generally speaking. And although it's gotten less over the years, I would say to you 10, 15, 20 years ago, this was the number one problem in representing motorcyclists who were injured in accidents, was the built-in bias and prejudice against the driver of the motorcycle. I think that that has to be done. Then when you get involved with the injuries themselves, because there are no what we call soft tissue injuries, you're not usually getting a whiplash. This doesn't happen on motorcycle accidents because you're usually with serious injuries or worse, death. We're explaining to people and explaining to them what they have to do with someone who is seriously injured, how to protect themselves for the rest of their life. And we see, as I said, unfortunately, pretty ghastly injuries and this type of thing. So I think those are the things that basically, when we're involved in these type of cases, that we're really helping people with.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time for today. I want to have you back on again next week, if that's all right with you. For more information, you can go to edgarsnyder.com. Edgar Snyder from Edgar Snyder Associates. Thanks for being on the show this morning.
Rocky, my pleasure. Have a good day.